It was our 7th wedding anniversary, and I took our son to my husband's office to wait for him to finish work so we could celebrate. As we reached the office door, I heard a woman's voice from inside. Listening closely, I recognized it as Evelyn, my former secretary. "Honey, you go home first. It's my wedding anniversary today, and I have to go back. Otherwise, she'll get suspicious. Emma is just an orphan, a housewife. What are you afraid of her for?" Lucas didn't respond, but the heavy thud of a cup being slammed down echoed from behind the slightly ajar door. Evelyn immediately whined, "Lucas, my tummy hurts, honey. I really just want you to stay with me." Lucas's voice instantly became indulgent. "Of course, I'm not afraid of her. She has a child and no job now. Even if I told her to leave, she wouldn't." Lucas then scoffed, "But can't know I'm betraying his mother. Once I'm sure I can get custody of Leo, I'll divorce her. Baby, you go back first. I'll come see you tonight. I'll make it up to you." The scene before me was like a bolt from the blue. I clamped my hand over my son's mouth to keep him from making a sound, then turned and secretly led him away. Back home, I called my college best friend and asked her to recommend a nanny. "Emma, I told you to get a nanny ages ago. Look at you, you've been wearing yourself out. I'll have Martha introduce a reliable one to you." My voice hoarse, I told my best friend, Olivia, Lucas cheated on me. There was a long silence on the other end. How could that be? Is it a misunderstanding? If even Lucas cheats, I really won't believe in love anymore. "Olivia, I saw it with my own eyes," I said calmly. "Olivia, he'll be home soon. Can you help me find a nanny first? I'll come see you tomorrow." At 5:30, Lucas returned home. "Honey, happy 7th anniversary. I booked a table at your favorite restaurant." Lucas hugged me, kissed my forehead, and was as gentle as ever, just like always. "I'll go get Leo." I quickly walked away, suppressing the urge to push Lucas off me. At the dining table, Leo wasn't bouncing around excitedly as he usually did. And I, too, responded with cold indifference, but didn't seem to notice. In his eyes, our family was still harmonious and perfect. He pulled out a gift. Inside the box was a rose quartz bracelet. I casually dropped it into my bag. "You don't have to buy me gifts." It didn't cost much. Because I didn't want him to wear himself out and hoped we could save enough for retirement sooner, I always objected to him buying me expensive gifts. After that, the gifts he bought me rarely cost more than $1,000. By the way, I want to hire a nanny. I've been feeling increasingly unwell these past 2 years. I needed to discuss this with him. He transferred household expenses to me monthly, claiming the company was still developing and needed capital, so he had asked me to make sacrifices for now. "No problem. I'll transfer an extra $10,000 to you each month." Lucas glanced down at his phone. "Honey, I'm sorry, but I have to go back to work later." Lucas had been working late every day for over 6 years. When I was pregnant, I had 2 scares with spotting and had to return home to rest and ensure the baby's health. The company was just getting on track back then. It was truly busy then. Lucas would work late and never come home before 11 p.m. And I always used to wait for him to come home before going to sleep. Even after the company stabilized, he still worked late every day, sometimes even later than before, not returning until midnight. Now that I think about it, he was always with his secretary, Evelyn. "I can't go home with you and our son. You'll have to take a taxi." Abandoning my usual understanding demeanor, I stared at him, my heart feeling nothing. "Husband, you haven't spent time with us in ages. Can't you even spend our anniversary with me and our child?" Our son went over and clung to Lucas's neck. "Daddy, you haven't played with me in so long." Just as Lucas hugged our son, his phone suddenly lit up. I glanced at it. It was a message from his secretary. "Emma won't let you leave, so you're not coming to spend time with me, are you?" The tenderness vanished from Lucas's eyes. He pushed our son away. "Emma, you should be grateful, not complaining. I'm the one who provides for you and our son, ensuring you want for nothing. You should make our son understand that too. But I told you I wanted to return to the company, and you refused to let me," I said faintly, trying to remain calm. "You're just a housewife, what do you know?" Lucas's tone was full of contempt. "Didn't I develop the core components of the company's software?" I couldn't hold back, retorting angrily. "Lucas and I founded the company together. I wrote the core programs, and I secured our biggest client. That was then, this is now. Back then you were a top graduate from Eastwood University. Now you're just a full-time housewife I've kept at home for 6 years. You should be content." Lucas walked out of the restaurant without looking back. I didn't stop him. I picked up my phone and sent a WhatsApp message. "Taylor, I'll be there. See you at the gala the day after tomorrow." Back home, I opened Evelyn's social media posts. A massive jeweled bracelet was pictured with the caption, "My husband's compensation. I forgive you." I smiled bitterly to myself. So, the money I'd saved, someone else was spending. I hated to see him spend money on gifts for me, but he bought for others without batting an eye. I couldn't understand how he could have changed so much. I desperately wanted to ask him why he was doing this to me, and to demand a divorce immediately. But I couldn't. Lucas was right. I was just a housewife, I had no income. If I filed for divorce now, I wouldn't get custody of our son. Besides, I'd been out of the company for 6 years. I had no idea how many assets I still had there. At midnight, I finally heard the door open. Lucas was back, but he didn't enter the master bedroom, he went straight into his home office. When I woke up in the morning, he was already gone. My best friend was incredibly efficient. As soon as I dropped Leo off at preschool and returned home, she arrived with a nanny for an interview. After settling the nanny's duties, we left for the law firm. On the way, my best friend was still lamenting that, among all our classmates, Lucas was the last person she'd ever expected to cheat. After meeting with David, my best friend's childhood friend and a lawyer, I had a clearer idea of what to do. I not only needed to understand the company's financial situation but also to gather as much evidence of Lucas's infidelity as possible. Although I really didn't want to, I knew I had to go to the company. My best friend offered to come and back me up, but I refused. She couldn't back me up now, and she also had to temporarily keep secret that I already knew about Lucas's affair. When I arrived at the company, Evelyn looked startled to see me, then her face instantly broke into a wide smile. "Emma, what brings you here?" Seeing, I still couldn't control my temper. "What, do I need your permission to come to my own company?" Evelyn smirked. "Didn't Emma leave the company ages ago? You're not even a shareholder anymore, are you?" Her true colors were finally showing. I must have been blind. Evelyn worked as my assistant for half a year, and I never even noticed. I looked her directly in the eye, seeing not a trace of fear. "You probably don't even know what marital assets are." With that, I walked into Lucas's office without looking back. "What are you doing at the company?" Lucas was clearly displeased by my presence. "I've reflected on what you said yesterday. I feel guilty about being supported by you at home," I slowly stated. "I'm ready to come back to work and share your burden." Lucas listened, then grew impatient. "Don't go stirring up trouble. You know I don't mind supporting you. What are you being so dramatic about?" Evelyn quickly followed him in. "Emma, your tea." I stared at the green tea in her hand. "My stomach is sensitive, I never drink green tea. Don't you know that?" Evelyn immediately looked wronged. "Lucas, I was just trying to be nice and pour Emma some tea." Lucas instantly defended Evelyn. "Emma, if you want something to drink, just say so. Why be so confrontational? Besides, didn't you hire Evelyn back then? And you asked me to look out for her. Why are you making things difficult for her now?" I sneered. "So you do remember I hired her? She was my assistant for half a year, how could she not know I never drink green tea?" Back then, Evelyn didn't meet the company's hiring requirements. As she was leaving after being rejected, I happened to see tears in her eyes. Learning she was also an orphan, I felt a pang of sympathy. She knew nothing at first, and I taught her everything myself, step by step. What an ungrateful wretch. I still couldn't believe she and Lucas had gotten together behind my back. "Emma, I truly didn't mean it." Evelyn looked at Lucas piteously, tears welling up instantly in her eyes. So this was her usual trick, I was only just realizing it. "Enough, Emma, where's your composure? Aren't you afraid of the employees laughing at you?" I sneered, catching a glimpse of Evelyn's slightly upturned lips from the corner of my eye. "Go home. You haven't touched company business in so long, what could you possibly do? You've probably forgotten how to even write code." Perhaps realizing his tone was harsh, Lucas added, "Just take good care of Leo at home. I can handle the company." "Emma, Lucas is just worried about you. I'm so envious." "Don't worry, I'll take good care of Lucas and make sure he doesn't get too tired." Evelyn's tone was incredibly grating, but only Lucas, blind and clueless as he was, couldn't hear it. I said nothing more, turned, and walked out of the office. Just as I was about to head downstairs, the driver approached. "Madam, Lucas asked me to take you home." "No need, I drove myself." Walking out of the company gates, I put on my Bluetooth headphones and opened an app on my phone. Just before leaving the office, I had secretly dropped a voice recorder into a potted plant in the corner. Soon, the conversation from the office filtered through my headphones. "Lucas, Emma bullied me. I don't want to be treated like this anymore." Evelyn's voice was tearful and full of childish complaint. You've been wronged, Lucas soothed her. But I'm with you every night, you should be content. But you always leave before midnight. I want you to stay with me all the time, forever, and not go see her. Evelyn demanded, pushing her luck. Evelyn, you're crossing the line. Lucas's tone turned serious. I have a son. I told you, I can't divorce her. I can give you anything else, but not marriage. Get out. Lucas, don't be angry. I just love you too much. I won't bring it up again. After a moment of silence, the sound of something hitting the floor came through my phone, followed by unbearable sounds. I pulled off my headphones, unwilling to listen further, and sent the entire recording to David. Since I couldn't get into the company, and Lucas had long replaced the accountant I had hired, I couldn't get a clear picture of the company's financial situation. Remembering I had to attend the Pinnacle's annual gala the next day, I went to the mall to buy a dress and get a beauty treatment. When I arrived at the Pinnacle's annual gala, Evelyn was arm in arm with Lucas, toasting everyone and basking in their praise. Mr. Lucas is young and accomplished. Mr. Taylor has praised your company's core technology multiple times, saying it's outstanding in the industry and your systems are stable. Mrs. Lucas is a perfect match for you. Evelyn offered no explanation, simply soaking in the compliments. When he saw me, Taylor hurried over to greet me. Ms. Emma, you're truly hard to get a hold of. Only then did Lucas see me. He grabbed my hand and whispered accusingly, what are you doing here? When he saw me look at Evelyn, he then explained, in this setting, I couldn't risk overshadowing the host, so I didn't elaborate on Evelyn's identity. I ignored both of them and thanked Taylor for the invitation. Pinnacle was a listed company and our biggest client. I had led the team that closed the deal years ago. A few days earlier, I had learned that Taylor had repeatedly proposed to Lucas that our company collaborate on developing an AI software, with the condition that I personally lead the project, but had repeatedly refused, citing various reasons. Lucas had brought the company's project managers to present preliminary results to Pinnacle multiple times, but Pinnacle was never satisfied. Taylor, left with no other option, contacted me directly. Lucas disagreed with me joining the company, but perhaps Taylor's opinion could change his mind. But I never expected Lucas to publicly slander and belittle me, disregarding the possibility of offending Taylor and losing a major client. Taylor, Emma hasn't worked on a project in 6 years. For these past 6 years, all she's done is take care of our child and revolve around me. She's just a housewife now. This project requires an investment of $100 million from you, and I wouldn't dare joke around with your investment. If you're still not satisfied, I can hire other people. Taylor looked at me, his expression troubled. He probably hadn't expected Lucas to undermine me publicly like that. At this, whispers began to ripple through the crowd. So, this is the real Mrs. Lucas. A housewife, attending the Pinnacle Gala? No wonder Mr. Lucas didn't deny that the beauty beside him was his wife. If it were me, I wouldn't want to bring a wife who only takes care of kids to an annual gala. Lucas, ignoring my humiliation, said to me in front of Taylor, don't joke around with Taylor. This isn't a joke you can afford to make. You should leave now. I knew I couldn't prove I still had the ability to develop software. If my own husband disrespected me, anything I said would be useless. I apologized to Taylor. I'm sorry, Taylor, for the disturbance at your company's annual gala. I wish you a successful event. I'll be leaving now. Lucas seemed to want to leave with me, but Evelyn held him back. After the Pinnacle annual gala, Lucas started coming home much earlier, sometimes even playing with building blocks with our son. But lipstick stains began to appear on his clothes, and hickeys on his body. I pretended not to notice. The time wasn't right yet. Since I couldn't go back to work at the company, I needed to find a way to earn money first. With the nanny, I had plenty of time each day to work on things. I developed an AI mini program, used AI to create funny videos, and posted them on various social media short video platforms, gaining a large following. In just 1 month, I gained 1 million followers across the entire network. Brands started approaching me, and I began to make a profit. On day, Lucas accompanied our son to a parent-child activity at preschool. On the way back, our son pulled a piece of lingerie from under a throw pillow in the back seat. Mommy, look what this is. Lucas saw it in the rearview mirror and immediately slammed on the brakes. Honey, I'll explain everything when we get home. Silently, I took it from our son's hand and threw it out the window. Leo, that's trash. Just throw it away. My reaction seemed too calm. Lucas even looked a bit displeased. Back home, I asked the nanny to take our son to his room. Lucas hugged me, his face filled with deep affection. Honey, I know I made a mistake, but I truly love you. I hope you can forgive me. I pushed him away. Let's get a divorce. Lucas seemed completely unprepared for me to suggest divorce. His face instantly changed. Emma, I only made a mistake because I was drunk. It wasn't intentional. I love you so much. What are you trying to achieve with this drama? How will you live without me? Lucas said coldly. Our son's tuition is $10,000 a month. The nanny also costs $10,000. Are you willing to make our son live a hard life? Don't be so selfish. Hearing that, I couldn't help but sneer. In college, I was top of my class. We started this company together, and I wrote the core programs. Now you're looking down on me? So what? Lucas retorted contemptuously. Now you're just a housewife. All the money in this house is earned by me. You should calm down. You're smart. You should know what choice to make. Lucas said, then left without looking back. Lucas finished speaking and walked out without looking back. Seeing that the truth was out, he didn't even bother to pretend anymore. It must have been exhausting, playing the good husband and father at home all this time. Lucas's reaction was unexpected, otherwise, I wouldn't have had to feign ignorance for so long. Just as I was about to pack my bags, Evelyn sent a WhatsApp message. Emma, don't you think so highly of yourself? Your husband doesn't love you anymore. Are you still going to cling to the title of Mrs. Lucas and not leave? Emma, you're truly shameless, just living off a man. Do you even know that your husband only gives you living expenses each month? Where do you think all the other money goes? Did you like the bracelet he gave you for your anniversary? Emma, I personally picked that out for you. A screenshot of an online purchase for $9.99 with free shipping was sent. And just because he had to spend your anniversary with you, he compensated me with a $100,000 bracelet. Seeing her so eager to prove herself, my heart remained undisturbed. I merely thought, oh, she's desperate. She's starting to lose it. She's impatiently trying to make me leave on my own. I initially decided not to reply, but then I remembered my lawyer saying that the recording of that illicit couple's voices involved privacy and might have some issues with its evidentiary value. It would be best to gather additional evidence. So, I replied, so what? I want a divorce, but he won't agree. You'll always be nothing more than the other woman. Everyone knows you're just playing your little game of hard to get. Evelyn immediately retorted. You know your husband cheated, yet you're unwilling to divorce him. What does that say about you? Evelyn, have you forgotten that you're the third party here? I slowly replied. Lucas says he still loves me. We went from college sweethearts to building a business together, and we have a son. You're just a fling to him. Perhaps the words just a fling provoked her. After a moment of silence, she replied. Do you want to see where the man who deeply loves you is right now? Immediately after, several nude photos and videos of the two of them were sent. Even on your anniversary, your husband was sleeping with me. As if Evelyn hadn't boasted enough, she sent another video of a house. It was a mansion, seemingly even larger than the one we lived in. This is Lucas's house too, and it's in my name. He comes home with me every day after work. In the neighbor's eyes, I'm Mrs. Lucas. How could he not love me? Evelyn, do you really think any of this can hurt me now? Thank you. With satisfaction, I forwarded them with a single tap. David, is this enough? Ms. Emma, the evidence of infidelity is substantial. You can also sue Evelyn to return the marital assets. After hanging up the phone, I called the nanny and gave her a few days off. I went to tuck our son into bed. Usually, he would fuss, insisting I read him a picture book, but tonight he was exceptionally well behaved. He fell asleep holding my hand, his grip exceptionally tight. Before falling asleep, he hugged me and said, Mommy, my friend's mommy hasn't come home in a long time. If you have to leave, please take me with you, okay? Don't leave me behind. He was only 5, but he understood everything. The child I risked my life for, how could I possibly abandon him? After our son fell asleep, I started packing my bags. I didn't care much for dressing up, so I didn't have many belongings, and I finished packing quickly. I didn't take much of our son's belongings either. We could always buy new things. I was afraid that if too much was missing, Lucas would notice when he returned and prevent us from leaving. While was still out, I put our bags in the car. Soon, I realized I was overthinking it. Lucas, who always came home before midnight, didn't return that night. The next morning at 6 a.m., our son woke up before I even called him. I placed the divorce agreement on the table, took one last look at our home, then left with our son. All day, I was busy enrolling our son in a new preschool, renting an apartment, and buying daily necessities. I was busy settling everything until evening before I finally had a moment to myself. Lucas's call finally came through. It seemed he had just gotten home. I silenced my phone and ignored it. After making more than a dozen calls and seeing I still didn't answer, he finally stopped. Emma, there's a limit to how petty you can be. I've already told you, I won't divorce you. I'll provide for you for the rest of your life. What more do you want? I'm giving you 24 hours. If I still don't see you, I'll cancel your credit card, and I won't transfer your living expenses anymore. I never imagined this man could be so utterly shameless. I had made many preparations for this day, though at the time, it was solely to secure custody. Now, his threat to cancel my cards wouldn't faze me. A month later, Lucas called again. I presumed he had received the court summons. This time I answered. He was, after all, our child's father, and he had provided me with a comfortable life for 6 years. Perhaps I should give him one last chance. Not a chance to reconcile, of course. I just thought perhaps I shouldn't be utterly ruthless. Emma, you've really gotten bold. You're taking your act all the way to court. Your living expenses should be almost gone by now, right? Come home today, and I'll transfer money to you immediately and reactivate your credit card. I covered the receiver. I didn't want to hear another word of his shameless statements. Lucas, do you still believe, even now, that I'm unwilling to leave you? What else? You eat well and live comfortably at home, while I make the money to support you and our son. Without me, how would you and our son live? Don't say I didn't warn you. If you actually go through with this divorce, you, a housewife, won't get custody. I sneered inwardly, suppressing my disgust as I finished speaking. Did you call just to threaten me again? I answered the phone today to tell you officially that there's no longer any possibility for us. If you still have any lingering feelings for me, let's sit down, discuss the divorce, and finalize the paperwork at the family clerk's office, and I'll drop the lawsuit. Lucas laughed mockingly, as if he'd heard something hilarious. Emma, so that's all you've got. This is my final warning. If you come back now, I can still pretend nothing happened. If you act recklessly and insist on going to court, you will lose both me and our son. The call ended as soon as he finished speaking. It seemed my words had angered him. Being the boss for so long, he couldn't stand even a hint of defiance. Well then, maybe you shouldn't be the boss anymore. At that moment, I hadn't yet realized I had underestimated Lucas's ruthlessness. When the nanny went to pick up Leo that afternoon, the teacher said Leo had already been picked up by his father. When I went to pick up Leo, I didn't know what Lucas had said to him, but Leo refused to come with me. Mommy, I want to be with Daddy. You should leave. Hearing's words, I finally lost control, and tears streamed down my face uncontrollably. Leo, didn't you say you didn't want Mommy to leave you? If it weren't for Leo, why would I have planned all of this? Getting revenge on Lucas might bring momentary satisfaction, but more than that, I hated myself for being so blind, for not seeing Lucas's true colors sooner. After cheated, I suppressed the urge to leave immediately because I wanted to legally secure custody of Leo and obtain enough assets to ensure he would have a good life. Emma, you can stay. I told you, if you come back before the trial, I can pretend nothing happened. I'm giving you this chance. No, Mommy has to leave. She was the one who abandoned you first. Leo's words stunned me. I wiped away my tears and walked away without looking back. On the day of the trial, as I entered the courtroom, I saw Lucas and his lawyer already sitting there, radiating confidence. Seeing me enter, Lucas said regretfully, Emma, I gave you a chance, but you didn't take it. Don't regret it later. David patted my arm and told me to sit down. I said nothing in the end. Before the hearing, David had already prepared me psychologically. Ms. Emma, be mentally prepared. Divorce litigation is like this. The person who was once closest to you will stab you with the cruelest words. Furthermore, as a party involved, he won't stick strictly to the evidence. He'll twist the facts, and by the end, he'll even believe himself to be the wronged party. Once it reaches the courtroom, you might witness the most malicious side of human nature. But please trust me, your evidence is substantial. Don't let him unsettle your mind or lose your composure. To get custody, a mother's demonstration of emotional stability is crucial. Even so, hearing what Johnson, the lawyer Lucas had hired, said next, I still couldn't help but tremble. Firstly, there is no breakdown of affection between the parties. For 7 years of marriage, the plaintiff Emma stayed home caring for the child, while the defendant Lucas, having started from nothing, bore all the financial pressure of supporting the family and faced immense work stress. Emma herself remained unproductive and placed undue pressure on the child. The defendant, to cover the high educational expenses and household costs paid by Emma, worked long hours, leaving early and returning late, year after year. After the plaintiff's son, Leo, started school, Emma remained idle, leading her to become overly suspicious and believe the defendant was cheating due to her own emotional and mental issues. The plaintiff's suspected mistress is the defendant's secretary. It is perfectly normal for the defendant to have contact and close interactions with his secretary. Even after the plaintiff repeatedly made unreasonable scenes, accusing the defendant of infidelity, the defendant still stated that the two parties, having gone from campus to society together, shared a deep emotional bond and would not divorce the plaintiff. Secondly, the plaintiff, without any evidence and disregarding the negative impact on the child, immediately removed the child from the home, which clearly demonstrates the plaintiff's emotional instability. Thirdly, regarding custody, the plaintiff has no financial income, is emotionally unstable, and poses a negative influence on the child's development. Furthermore, the plaintiff and defendant's son, Leo, himself wishes to live with his father. David, perhaps fearing I would explode in fury, patted my arm several times during the statement. I truly wanted to jump up and retort immediately, but that would have played right into their trap. David began presenting evidence, revealing the office recording, Evelyn's WhatsApp chat logs, and the photos and videos of them in bed. Lucas and Johnson's expressions subtly shifted. Next, David presented my social media account's income statements. Lucas panicked. He hadn't realized I actually had an income. Johnson was still trying to deny our evidence, but a courtroom was no place for deceptive arguments. Our chain of evidence was irrefutable. After and Johnson whispered together, Johnson addressed the court. We asked the court to fully consider Leo's opinion. Although he is only 5.5 years old, his mind is quite mature, and he is fully capable of expressing his own thoughts. Leo is currently outside the courtroom. He can be brought in to speak for himself. The judge granted Johnson's request. Since birth, Leo had never left my side. I missed him terribly. He was still so young. I wondered if he would be scared standing in a courtroom. The judge, who was around my age and likely a parent herself, spoke gently to my son. Little, you don't need to be afraid. I'll just ask you a few questions, and you simply need to say what you truly think. To my surprise, Leo showed no fear at all. He looked at the judge and said, Okay, madam, you can ask. If your daddy and mommy separate, who would you like to live with, your daddy or your mommy? And why? No matter who you live with, the other parent will still be able to visit you. Lucas looked at me triumphantly. He knew that our son was what mattered most to me. By controlling our son, he controlled me. Leo glanced at Lucas, then at me, and told the judge, I want to be with mommy. Disbelief flashed in Lucas's eyes. I wasn't surprised. I had known this outcome all along. Leo would never have said those things that day. He was my son. I had raised him to know right from wrong. Even if he didn't want to be separated from his father, he wouldn't have told me to leave. Soon after I left that day, I received a voice message from Leo's smartwatch. Mommy, don't be sad. I'll come find you soon. Leo looked at Lucas and said, I'm sorry, Daddy. Even though you have more money, and even though you said you'd give me your overseas properties someday, I don't want all that money. You and Mommy aren't even divorced yet, and Ms. Evelyn already came to our house. She was really mean to me, and I'm afraid she'll be bad to me later. Mommy only has me. I can't leave her. You can just let Ms. Evelyn stay with you. Lucas's face instantly contorted, and he began to shriek hysterically, Judge, a child's words can't be taken seriously. Leo, tell me, who taught you to say that? The judge rapped her gavel firmly, silencing him. David seized the opportunity to submit a pre-prepared application for investigation and evidence collection. Due to suspicion of the defendant transferring marital assets, the plaintiff requests to inquire into the bank statements of accounts under the defendant's name and under the defendant's company's name. As expected, the judge granted our request. Lucas slumped into his chair, the light completely gone from his eyes. After the recess, Lucas stopped me and our son, but this time, his arrogance was gone. Emma, we've been together for 10 years. How many decades does one have in life? Marriages all go through the 7-year itch, but I truly only love you. I just asked Evelyn to come to the house to help take care of Leo. I never intended to divorce you. My transferring assets and speaking badly of you was only to ensure you couldn't get custody of Leo and would give up on divorcing me. Emma, I can't divorce you. I just made some mistakes, but my feelings for you have never changed. I promise you, I'll fire Evelyn right now, and I'll never have any contact with her again. Before I could speak, David, who had been about to walk out, turned around upon hearing Lucas's despicable words. Lucas, I usually don't get involved in matters not strictly related to the law, but you are truly going too far. I've seen too many divorcing couples who stayed together for various reasons, but when they reach the point of exchanging bitter words in court, it all comes down to one reason: the love is gone. If you loved her, how could you bear to attack her with such language in court? Have you considered how profound that damage is? This isn't just an argument at home. You've essentially stripped yourselves bare for all to see. If you weren't at a disadvantage right now, would you be here apologizing? I understood David's good intentions. When he first took on my case, he had helped me clarify my true feelings. He said he'd seen too many women who wanted a divorce end up hesitating, wavering, and going back and forth, ultimately choosing to compromise and suffer in silence. He didn't believe that was the right choice. He said that if divorce was for the sake of happiness, then he supported it, otherwise, he would consider his case a failure. When I signed the representation agreement, David told me, "Ms. Emma, you have the ability to thrive on your own. You deserve better." Gratefully, I said to David, "David, thank you. I have a few things I want to say to him privately. Could you please take our son to the car first?" I said to Lucas, 10 years is a long time, but 10 years to see a person clearly, that's worth it. Lucas, from the very beginning, you chose to find every way to control me. Even when you made mistakes, you chose to make things difficult for me rather than for yourself. Now that you can't control me anymore, you suddenly want to win me back. Even if David hadn't said what he did today, do you honestly think I would ever reconcile with you? Precisely because of those 10 years we had, let's not make this separation uglier than it has to be, okay? Our son is waiting for me. I turned to leave. Emma, Lucas grabbed my hand. I turned and stood still, taking one last look at him. My gaze shifted from him to the hand that was holding mine, resolute and firm. Lucas murmured softly, "It's all gone. Everything is gone." His hand finally let go. After getting the evidence, David notified me immediately. To my surprise and delight, the financial records not only contained evidence of overseas properties purchased but also every single expense Lucas paid for Evelyn. David said over the phone, "Emma, you see. And directly sue in your name for the return of the marital assets that Lucas transferred to Evelyn. The mansion registered under her name was paid for by the company account, so a lawsuit needs to be filed in the company's name. It would be a bit troublesome if the corporate seal couldn't be stamped. Since you are not a registered shareholder of the company, you cannot initiate a shareholder derivative lawsuit. Of course, it's not entirely without a solution, but it might have to wait until the marital assets are divided." David also mentioned that Lucas misappropriated company assets, which involves criminal liability, and I could pursue it. I didn't plan to pursue criminal charges against Lucas. It wasn't because I still had feelings for him. After all, he is my son's father, and I didn't want my son's father to have a criminal record. When the court session resumed, neither Lucas nor Johnson appeared. Just before the hearing, Daniel, the company's CFO, appeared with a new lawyer. Daniel explained to the judge that after the last hearing, Lucas was unhappy with Johnson's public defamation of me in court. They had an altercation after the session, which resulted in Lucas assaulting Johnson, sending him to the hospital. Lucas is currently under administrative detention and won't be released until tomorrow, so he couldn't attend today's trial. Lucas had appointed Clark to continue representing him in the case. Clark stated that Lucas acknowledged all the evidence presented by the court and voluntarily relinquished his parental rights and all marital assets. After the hearing, Daniel handed me the corporate seal, saying it was Lucas's instruction. "Emma, Lucas said that once he is released, he will transfer the company shares and legal representative status to you. Also, we've already terminated Evelyn's employment as per Lucas's request." I hadn't expected this outcome. With the corporate seal in hand, the next step was to settle accounts with Evelyn. Given the abundant evidence, David handled it quite smoothly. Of course, I no longer cared about the subsequent matters. After all, I still had my own life to live. I had once warmed a frozen snake with my fervent heart, only to be bitten by it. I was deeply hurt, but thankfully, fate intervened, and I had the power to punish the snake. The harm I suffered might make me wary of being kind to strangers. But I believe one day I will learn to embrace others again. Because this experience taught me not to close myself off, but to strengthen myself, to always have the power to challenge. After receiving the judgment, Lucas did not appeal. Because committed infidelity, transferred marital assets, and voluntarily relinquished all marital assets, I achieved a complete victory. Lucas directly sold off the overseas properties and transferred the money to my account. Everything settled down. I smoothly returned to the company and embarked on a new career. I used my abilities to persuade Taylor and spearheaded the development of our joint AI project. When the project launch event was held, it felt like an industry gala, and my social media accounts broadcasted it live throughout. I stood on stage, shining brightly. I was no longer the housewife dependent on a man, but an independent, self-reliant, and shining powerhouse. With my wisdom and capabilities, I had regained control of my life. Everything from the past had become a fleeting memory. I was grateful for those experiences. They made me stronger and more mature. The road ahead was long, but I was ready. I would use my strength to create my own brilliance. I deeply believed that only after enduring storms could one see the rainbow. And at this moment, my life had just begun. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.